The story opens by establishing Lumiere Atelier's reputation. Founded by the reclusive Madame Elena Vargas, it's known globally for heirloom-quality furniture, where every joint is perfected, every grain wood honored. The company prides itself on blending timeless artistry with innovative design, and its pieces fetch astronomical prices. Elena Vargas herself is a legendary, almost mythical figure, rarely seen, her vision embodied in every meticulously crafted item. Into this world steps Marcus Thorne, a young, intensely ambitious design director poached from a mass-market luxury brand. He's a whirlwind of sharp suits, aggressive jargon, and a relentless focus on efficiency and market trends. Marcus views traditional craftsmanship as an outdated impediment to profit margins and scalability. His first major meeting with the design and artisan teams is held in the main workshop, a space usually buzzing with collaboration. Marcus, radiating disdain for the dust and tools, announces sweeping changes. Streamlining production, introducing cheaper material alternatives for invisible components, and prioritizing mass appeal aesthetics over bespoke artistry. His presentation is punctuated by graphs showing projected cost savings and increased output, all at the expense of traditional methods. During his monologue about a new dining table design, the Apex series, Marcus details a modification to a critical support joint, proposing a simpler, machine-cut version to save labor. Elena Vargas, disguised as Lena, a quiet, seemingly elderly apprentice with callous hands and a faded workshop apron, raises a hesitant hand. Lena, blending seamlessly with the long-serving artisans, suggests that the proposed joint alteration, while faster, would compromise the table's long-term stability, especially given the weight of the marble top it's designed to hold. She speaks softly, but her words carry the weight of intimate material knowledge. Marcus's voice cuts through the air like a laser. "Can you please be quiet and let the professionals speak?" he snaps, instantly silencing the room. Dozens of eyes turn to Lena. "We don't pay apprentices to question structural engineering, just to follow instructions. Perhaps you should stick to sanding wood, Lena, and leave the actual design decisions to those with degrees." He delivers an exaggerated laugh, turning to face the younger designers. "Listen up, everyone. The apprentice now understands structural calculations. Maybe we should give her a master's from a top design school, since she clearly knows more than someone who actually studied for it." Nervous laughter ripples through the room, mostly from Marcus's new hires. Lena feels a familiar heat rising in her neck, but her gaze remains steady. With decades of hands-on experience, she has faced prejudice before, but public humiliation still stings. She wasn't an apprentice for status. She truly loved the tactile process, working directly with the wood, staying connected to the heart of her company. "With all due respect, sir," Lena replies with surprising calm, "the stress on this cantilevered section will cause uneven distribution on the joint you propose. The material fatigue calculations don't account for." Marcus interrupts with a dismissive wave, his cold smile fixed. "If you want to keep your job on this project, Lena, I suggest you stick to sweeping floors and leave the important decisions to those who study for it." The silence in the room is palpable. Some veteran artisans look down, embarrassed for Lena and for the company's changing culture. Others, mainly Marcus's new design team, offer discreet smiles, seemingly approving of Lena being put in her place. What no one notices is a serene calm in Lena's eyes. It is not the resignation of someone accepting humiliation, but the tranquility of someone watching a predator walking straight into a trap. "Understood, sir," Lena replies simply, gathering her few notes. "I just thought I should mention it." Marcus beams victoriously. "Now that we've resolved this hierarchy issue, can we continue? We have tight deadlines." As Marcus launches back into his presentation, nobody sees Lena discreetly tapping a message on an old, rugged smartphone hidden in her apron pocket. The emotional tone is one of simmering indignation and growing anticipation for the inevitable downfall. Following the explosive meeting, Marcus Thorne continues his relentless campaign to modernize Lumiere Atelier. He bypasses several long-standing quality control protocols, pushing through cheaper lacquer finishes, substituting exotic hardwoods with engineer veneers, and demanding faster assembly times. He's obsessed with the spreadsheets, convinced that maximizing output and minimizing costs will impress Madame Vargas, the elusive founder. He struts through the workshop, a stark contrast in his Italian leather shoes and crisp designer suits against the sawdust and the patient, focused faces of the artisans. He issues directives, oblivious to the quiet murmurs of concern that follow him like shadows. Lena, as the apprentice, maintains her quiet routine. She meticulously sorts timber, sharpens tools, and assists Maya, the master artisan who's been with Lumiere since its inception. Maya, with her gnarled hands and eyes that miss nothing, often exchanges knowing glances with Lena. "He's chipping away at the soul of this place, Lena," Maya whispers one afternoon, as she meticulously sands a curved armrest. "These pieces are meant to outlast us, not be disposable." Lena simply nods, her expression unreadable, continuing to observe every rush cut, every compromised joint. She periodically makes discreet notes on her phone, which is carefully shielded from curious eyes. The tension in the workshop is a slow burn. The artisans feel their craft being devalued, but dare not speak up against Marcus's perceived authority. Suddenly, a notification rings through the administrative offices. An emergency, unannounced visit from Madame Elena Vargas in less than an hour. A ripple of panic spreads through the atelier. Madame Vargas is a phantom, a name whispered with reverence, rarely seen on sight, much less without warning. Marcus, initially flustered, quickly recomposes himself. He sees this as his golden opportunity. He barks orders, demanding spotless presentations, polished reports, and that every efficiency saving he's implemented be highlighted. He spends the next 45 minutes frantically rehearsing his spiel, adjusting his silk tie, confident he has transformed Lumiere into a lean, profit-driven machine. He envisions his meteoric rise within the company. No one, in their frantic scrambling, notices Lena quietly slip out of the workshop. She heads not toward the general staff exit, but through a seldom-used service corridor leading to a private executive entrance at the rear of the building. She ducks into a small, inconspicuous changing room, where a well-pressed, dark business suit hangs alongside an elegant leather briefcase. As the minutes tick down to Madame Vargas's arrival, the emotional tone in the workshop is a mix of nervous energy, fear of the unknown, and Marcus's misplaced confidence. The reader, however, feels a building wave of anticipation, knowing that the stage is set for a dramatic revelation. The main entrance of Lumiere Atelier is a flurry of activity. Marcus Thorne stands rigidly, a forced smile plastered on his face, rehearsing his opening lines one last time. He's flanked by his nervous design team, all attempting to project an image of calm efficiency. A sleek, obsidian black luxury car, a limited edition electric sedan, glides silently to a stop before the main doors. Two impeccably dressed security personnel step out first, scanning the surroundings with professional detachment. Then, the rear passenger door opens. From within emerges a woman. She moves with a quiet grace, her presence immediately commanding attention. She is dressed in an exquisitely tailored charcoal gray suit that speaks of understated power, a contrast to Marcus's flashy attire. Her dark hair is pulled back elegantly, revealing a face marked by intelligence and experience, with deep-set, observant eyes. These eyes, now framed by sophisticated, thin-rimmed glasses, are unmistakably Lena's. The subtle lines of her face, the quiet intensity, are now amplified by the authority of her clothing and demeanor. Marcus, his practiced smile freezing midair, extends a tentative hand. Madame Vargas? He stammers, confusion warring with recognition in his eyes. He blinks several times, as if trying to reconcile the elegant woman before him with the unassuming apprentice he had ridiculed just hours ago. The woman takes his outstretched hand firmly, her grip strong and confident. "Elena Sofia Vargas," she states, her voice calm and clear, yet imbued with unmistakable gravitas. "Founder and CEO of Lumiere Atelier." The shock that ripples through the gathered staff is a physical wave. Gasps are heard. Marcus's face drains of color, his jaw slack. He looks like a fish out of water, mouth opening and closing soundlessly. "But you're—" He stutters, completely unable to finish the sentence. "The apprentice." The words finally escape him, whispered in disbelief. Elena's gaze remains steady, piercing. "Yes, Mr. Thorne. And also the apprentice you publicly ridiculed and dismissed a few hours ago for daring to point out a critical flaw in your design for the Apex Series table." A deathly silence falls over the courtyard. The sunlight suddenly feels colder. Marcus's face is now whiter than the pristine marble slabs waiting to be crafted into tabletops. One of his junior designers, trying to be helpful, steps forward. "Madame Vargas, there must be some kind of misunderstanding. Mr. Thorne didn't know." "Didn't know I was the owner," Elena finishes, cutting him off with surgical precision. "Precisely. And that young man is exactly the point." She looks around at the faces of her employees, the younger designers, the experienced artisans, the administrative staff, all now gathering a respectful distance, watching the unfolding drama with growing curiosity and a dawning understanding. 15 years ago, I founded Lumiere Atelier with the promise of revolutionizing bespoke furniture. Elena continues, her voice now projecting across the courtyard. But I realize that over time, it's easy for leadership to lose touch with the very hands that build our legacy. So, with every new major project or when new leadership is installed, I spend the first few weeks working incognito. I trade my suits for an artisan's apron, and my surname for my middle name. Marcus looks like he's about to faint. "Madame Vargas, I had no idea. If I had known—" "That's exactly the problem, isn't it, Mr. Thorne?" Elena interrupts, her voice firm but controlled. "If you had known who I was, you would have treated me with respect. But because you thought I was just an elderly workshop apprentice, you felt entitled to humiliate me in public and dismiss my valid technical concerns." At that moment, Maya, the elderly master artisan, steps forward, a complex mix of disappointment and a hint of satisfaction on her face. "Madame V," she says, using a familiar affectionate nickname, "you could have warned me you were doing your special quality check again." Elena smiles for the first time, a small, genuine smile. "And miss a chance to see how things truly work, Maya? You know that defeats the purpose." Maya nods, turning to Marcus with an expression that speaks volumes. "I've known Elena for 30 years. We worked side by side on the bench before she even envisioned Lumiere. She always says, a masterpiece is only as strong as its weakest joint, and a company is only as honest as its most arrogant employee." Elena adjusts her glasses, the subtle transformation from humble apprentice to formidable CEO complete. The emotional feeling is one of powerful, satisfying vindication for the reader and utter, soul-crushing terror for Marcus. Elena Vargas, now radiating an aura of calm authority, directs everyone to the main conference room. The air is thick with palpable tension. Marcus Thorne, his face still ghostly pale, moves like a man in a daze, his designer suit suddenly feeling like a straitjacket. "Let's get right to the point, Mr. Thorne," Elena begins, her voice cutting through the silence like a well-honed chisel. "Why were my observations about the Apex Series table foundations not only ignored but ridiculed?" Marcus clears his throat, attempting to regain some semblance of control. "Madame Vargas, There was a misunderstanding. I was simply reinforcing the hierarchy and... Hierarchy, Elena interrupts, pulling out a sleek tablet. Our company manual clearly states, any employee, regardless of position or function, has a duty and responsibility to report possible structural flaws or quality concerns. Section 3.1.A. She slides her finger across the screen. And, Mr. Thorne, our workshop cameras also capture audio. With a tap, Marcus's own arrogant voice fills the conference room. Asterisk. Here we work with calculations, not with the eye of an apprentice who doesn't even know how to hold a tape measure properly. Asterisk. Marcus visibly flinches, loosening his tie as if suffocating from the sound of his recorded arrogance. In the last 2 hours, Elena continues, projecting a series of documents onto the large screen, we've reviewed all of your engineering and design decisions since your arrival. A technical auditor, a stern-faced woman in a dark suit, stands up. Madame Vargas, we found 17 critical design and safety violations, directly impacting the longevity and structural integrity of several flagship pieces currently in production. The most egregious is a compromised joint on the Apex series table, exactly where Ms. Vargas, excuse me, Madame Vargas, indicated. We also identified unauthorized material substitutions and falsification of quality assurance test reports to show higher strength than actual values. Marcus turns a shade paler. I can explain. These were strategic cost-saving measures. Approved. An engineer from Marcus's own team, unable to bear the pressure, blurts out, Mr. Thorne, several of us warned you about these problems. You insisted the calculations were correct and that the savings were necessary. Necessary for what? Elena asks, her eyes fixed on Marcus. Another junior designer, looking at his shoes, confesses, for the end-of-project bonus, Madame Vargas. If we saved over $1 million on materials, we would all get a substantial bonus. Marcus stands up abruptly, slamming his hands on the table. This is a conspiracy. I'm a respected professional with a master's degree from a top design school. I am not going to let a bunch of what? Elena asks sharply, her voice cutting through his rage. A bunch of artisans? Apprentices? Finish your thought, Mr. Thorne. The silence is deafening. Marcus collapses back into his chair, utterly defeated. Elena motions to Maya, who hands her a folder. Elena places it in front of Marcus. His hands trembling, he opens it. Inside is a single sheet, his termination letter. Am I being fired? He asks, incredulously, the bravado completely gone from his voice. I have 2 options for you, Mr. Thorne, Elena replies, her voice devoid of triumph, only a quiet resolve. Option 1, immediate termination for cause, with civil proceedings for gross negligence, fraudulent material substitution, and falsification of reports. Your professional design license will be revoked, and your career will be over. Marcus swallows hard, his eyes wide with terror. Option 2, voluntary departure. In exchange, you will return all bonuses received and work 6 months as a volunteer instructor in our artisan training program for young people from disadvantaged communities. She looks at her watch. 5 minutes to decide. In the meantime, let's gather everyone outside. I think they deserve an explanation. The emotional tone is one of stark justice and the crushing weight of consequences. In the central courtyard of Lumiere Atelier, workers from every department, designers, carpenters, finishers, administrative staff, and even the cleaning crew, have gathered, a buzzing crowd united by curiosity and anticipation. Elena Vargas, now on a small, temporary platform, addresses them. The sun casts long, late-afternoon shadows across the impeccably paved grounds. Good morning, everyone, she begins, her voice carrying clearly. For those who don't know me, I am Elena Sofia Vargas, founder of Lumiere Atelier. Some of you might know me as Lena, the apprentice. A wave of murmurs and knowing smiles spreads through the crowd. Many of the long-serving artisans nod. A few even offer quiet claps of understanding. I am here for 2 reasons, Elena continues, silencing the applause with a gentle gesture. First, to announce that Mr. Marcus Thorne is no longer part of Lumiere Atelier. A stunned silence follows, quickly replaced by spontaneous, heartfelt applause that Elena again silences. The second reason is more important. At Lumiere, we don't just build furniture. We build legacies of craftsmanship, innovation, and mutual respect. It doesn't matter if you have a master's degree in design or decades of hard-won experience on the workshop floor. Your knowledge is valuable. Your voice deserves to be heard. Every hand, every eye, every piece of wisdom contributes to the masterpiece. As she finishes, the main administrative trailer door opens. Marcus Thorne emerges, a small cardboard box clutched in his hands, containing his personal effects. His expensive suit, which had once seemed so sharp and confident, now hangs limply on his slumped shoulders, a symbol of his shattered arrogance. He walks slowly through the crowd, his gaze fixed on the ground. As he passes, he is met not with jeers, not with mocking laughter, but with something perhaps far more painful for a man of his ego, a corridor of quiet pity. The artisans, the junior designers he had dismissed, the staff he had ignored, they look at him with a mixture of solemnity and a profound sense of their, but for the grace of God. Marcus reaches his sleek, luxury car, now looking out of place, an emblem of a life that no longer fits him. Before getting in, his eyes momentarily meet Elena's. It's a brief, almost imperceptible nod of recognition, not of true regret, but of someone who has finally, brutally, understood the vast, unbridgeable gulf between perceived authority and earned respect. He gets into his car and drives away without looking back. Maya approaches Elena. "Which option did he choose?" she asks, a faint smile playing on her lips. Elena smiles slightly. "Surprisingly, the voluntary training. There's hope, even for the most difficult cases, Maya." Walter shakes his head fondly. "You've always seen beyond appearances. Elena, that's why you built this company from the ground up, honoring every grain of wood and every pair of hands." Elena gazes at the construction site, where workers were returning to their posts with renewed energy. True artistry isn't just about crafting beautiful pieces, Maya. It's about tearing down the invisible barriers that prevent talented people from being heard. On the horizon, the atelier structures rose against the sky, not just wood and steel, but a monument to the idea that respect is not imposed by title, but earned through the humility of recognizing that wisdom can come from the callous hands of those who know every grain of wood that supports the foundations not only of furniture, but of human dignity. The emotional tone is one of profound justice, combined with a nascent sense of hopeful possibility for change. 6 months have passed since the day Marcus Thorne's world collapsed in the Lumiere Atelier courtyard. The atelier itself stands more imposingly than ever, a beacon of exquisite craftsmanship against the city skyline. The Apex Series table, its foundation now redesigned and reinforced exactly where Elena, as Lena, had warned of problems, has become a celebrated centerpiece of their latest collection, earning rave reviews for its unparalleled stability and elegance. On the 30th floor, in a conference room offering a panoramic view of the cityscape, Elena Vargas chairs the quarterly executive meeting. Maya, now promoted to the newly created position of Director of Operations, presents the impressive results of the Artisan Voice program. This initiative, born directly from Elena's undercover experience, actively identifies promising workers at all levels of the hierarchy, offering mentoring and specialized training, and most importantly, guaranteeing a channel for all employees to report concerns without fear of retaliation. Our quality control metrics have improved an astonishing 85% since implementing the new open communication protocol, Maya explains, projecting vibrant graphs onto the screen. When any employee, regardless of their position, from the newest apprentice to the most seasoned master artisan, can report concerns without fear of being dismissed or ridiculed, we identify potential problems long before they can escalate into crises. This has not only saved us significant costs in rectifying errors, but has also fostered an unprecedented sense of ownership and collective pride in our work. Elena nods, satisfied. The public humiliation she had endured as Lena the apprentice had ironically ignited the biggest cultural revolution in Lumiere's history. The model was now being studied and replicated by other high-end manufacturing companies across the country. And what about our volunteer instructor program, Maya? Elena asks, a subtle smile playing on her lips, already knowing the answer. Maya's smile broadens as she moves to the next slide. The screen displays a heartwarming photo. A diverse group of young people, many from disadvantaged communities, intently focus on learning the art of fine woodworking and structural design. Among the instructors, demonstrating a complex dovetail joint with surprising patience and precision, is Marcus Thorne. He appears thinner, his once meticulously groomed hair now slightly unkempt, but there's a distinct new intensity and focus in his eyes, a stark contrast to his former arrogant gaze. The program has already trained 60 young apprentices, with an employability rate of 90% in skilled trades, Maya proudly reports. And as for our most unusual instructor, Mr. Thorne, I must admit, he has exceeded all of our expectations. The emotional tone is one of significant growth, tangible success, and the first clear, undeniable signs of Marcus's profound transformation, fostering a sense of redemption for the reader. After the executive meeting, Elena Vargas takes the private elevator down to the ground floor, heading towards the atelier's vibrant new training center. The air here is rich with the scent of freshly cut wood and focused learning. She finds Marcus Thorne no longer in his designer suits, but in practical, sawdust-dusted work clothes, patiently teaching a diverse group of students the intricate structural calculations required for cantilever designs. He uses physical models and hands-on demonstrations, a teaching style far removed from his previous reliance on abstract spreadsheets. The former design director looks up as Elena enters, and something complex, almost indecipherable, passes between them. It's not friendship, not forgiveness in the traditional sense, but reluctant, hard-won respect, a mutual acknowledgement forged in the fires of humility and transformation. Elena observed him for a few moments, seeing the genuine engagement in his eyes as he guides a young woman through a difficult problem. Later, in the employee parking lot, Elena finds Marcus packing materials into his car. It's no longer his luxurious convertible, but a modest, practical compact sedan. Mr. Thorne. Elena greets him formally, breaking the quiet of the late afternoon. How are you adjusting to this new chapter? Marcus pauses, a faint, reflective smile on his face. Mr. Jefferson. Oops, referencing original. Change to Madame Vargas. Madame Vargas, he corrected himself, a flicker of his old self-consciousness, quickly replaced by a genuine openness. I honestly thought it would be a punishment. 6 months teaching basic calculus and joinery to people who, by my old standards, barely finished high school. He glances at the imposing atelier building, then back at his modest car. But I've discovered something unexpected. They learn fast. They ask questions you'd never consider. They see solutions that aren't in the books because they're not confined by them. It's amazing what we discover when we stop judging by appearances, isn't it? Elena observes gently. Indeed. And when we truly open ourselves to learning from every source. Marcus studies the ground, then meets her gaze, his expression earnest. I learned that lesson on my first day here. The hard way. I could have ended my career right there. A professional disgrace. It wasn't about punishment, Mr. Thorne, Elena clarifies, her voice soft but firm. It was about transformation. for you and for them, an opportunity to build a new foundation, both literally and figuratively. In 2 weeks, my term of service ends, Marcus states, looking towards a training center. I already have a few job offers, some even from reputable design firms. Elena nods. And which one will you take? Marcus looks back at the training center, a subtle, almost content smile appearing on his face. Actually, I've asked Maya for permission to continue as a volunteer instructor for another semester. I have some promising students I don't want to abandon in the middle of their process. I feel I have more to teach here, and more to learn. A discreet, knowing smile blossoms on Elena's face. Approved, Mr. Thorne. Most heartily approved. As Elena returns to her office, she reflects on the unlikely journey that had brought them both to this moment. From a humiliated apprentice to a respected CEO, she had built more than an empire of exquisite furniture. She had built a legacy of dignity and respect that transcended titles and prejudices. On the wall of Lumiere Atelier's main lobby, a new, golden plaque proudly displayed the company's refined motto, inspired by that fateful confrontation. We craft masterpieces with materials, but we build respect with humility. Engineering had taught Marcus that every structure, no matter how imposing, begins with a solid foundation. Life had taught him that the same principle applies to human character. The humiliation he had inflicted on a mere workshop apprentice had destroyed his career as he knew it. But from a ruin, something far more valuable was born. The understanding that true knowledge does not come solely from diplomas hanging on a wall, but from the ability to recognize value where others see only difference. As for Elena, her ultimate victory was not to destroy the man who had humiliated her, but to transform him into someone better, proving that true leadership is not imposed by authority, but earned by example, by building a world where respect is the most solid foundation there is. The emotional tone is one of lasting redemption, the fulfillment of transformation, and a powerful sense of an enduring, positive legacy.